I'm Pete Wright.
And I'm Andy Nelson.
Welcome to The Next Reel. When the movie ends,
our conversation begins.
Death Race 2000 is over. You know, Mira, some people might think you're cute, but me, I think you're one very large baked potato.
The year 2000. America is a vast speedway. People line the streets to witness the greatest drivers on Earth in a race from sea to shining sea.
This is a death race.
You finish first, or not at all. Death Race 2000. Every car a deadly weapon. Every spectator a potential point. It's a cross-country road wreck, and the traffic is murder.
Who are you, anyway?
The best driver on Earth.
I don't want you to die.
He was built by the world's finest surgeons to drive the fastest car ever designed, and nothing can stop him now. Death Race 2000, rated R.
Oh, dear. How did we get roped into this movie?
How did we get roped into it? You sound like you didn't enjoy it when you say it like that.
No, I loved every minute of it. It's such a stupid movie. I love David Carradine and his fake mask so much.
Frankenstein. This is, again, we're continuing our year-long journey through Roger Corman's projects, whether he produced or directed or just distributed. We're kind of walking through those. And for this particular month, we were looking at, what was the options? Like directors' first opportunities to make something. And Paul Bartel, who had acted, and I think I know him mostly as an actor, not necessarily a director, but certainly has directed a lot of things like Eating Raoul. You know, he was on the list. And so, everyone voted, and here we are, Death Race 2000.
I guess seeing all of the other possible movies on the list, I don't know how you could pick anything else. But I do wonder if we keep doing movies like this, people won't take us seriously anymore.
Well, you know, we had early Coppola was an option, on the list.
True.
And I think there's something interesting with that. Scorsese, Carl Franklin, Ron Howard, Alan Arkush and Joe Dante, Jonathan Kaplan, Irving Kershner, Curtis Hanson, and Timur Bekmambetov. So there were some interesting first films on the list.
And we're here with Death Race 2000, David Carradine, Sylvester Stallone, Simone Griffith, racing. It's essentially Cannonball Run, but you keep score by killing pedestrians.
What was the zeitgeist that led to so many car race movies across the country or around the world? That, like, why was that a thing? Do you know? Because when I watched this, I immediately also thought of the Cannonball Run movies, which I adored. I never was into just car race movies, like where they just going on a track. But like if they're driving across the country, I was in. Like the other one that I loved was the Hanna-Barbera, the one where it was like all the different characters in the vehicles, Wacky Races, that's what it was called, where they were traveling around the world and it was all the different silly Hanna-Barbera characters. They made it was a TV show and they made a movie. And so I don't know what was going on at the time.
Okay, so I was thinking about this and here is my thought. I think that the 60s and 70s were really kind of peak car adoption culture in America, right? Like cars were a big deal, and there was this sort of symbol that cars were the symbol of freedom. You could do anything you want. You could go anywhere you wanted. They were they were a sign of financial, economic prosperity. And I just think that was sort of the cultural symbol at the time of, that was just this wave that was cresting of people doing fun things with cars. This on top of the fact that, we've talked about youth sort of disillusionment around this time, and that had a direct impact on movies too. The sort of counterculture impact. I think you put those two things together, and of course you have people driving symbols of freedom and killing other people with them. Like that just seems that just seems to be the symbol of post-apocalyptic America. If you're going to make a movie at the time, this is the message you want to send.
I suppose that you're right. The 60s and 70s, because also that was also the era, aside from the car culture booming, that's when like they really started like expanding Le Mans and all the different Formula One, like really race culture kicked in. And so maybe it was just part of it. Like, and I don't know, were there actual Cannonball Run race types of races that were cross country races?
I think the Cannonball Run was a real thing, if it's not anymore.
Yeah.
It is, and it still is.
Is it really?
Yeah, unsanctioned, illegal street race.
And it's across the country?
Yeah, unsanctioned.
Or is it just like Fast and Furious down the streets of LA?
From this is very telling. It's an unsanctioned speed record for driving across the United States, typically accepted to run from New York City's Red Bull Garage to the Portofino Hotel in Redondo Beach near Los Angeles, covering a distance of 2,906 miles. As of October 2021, the record was 25 hours and 39 minutes with an average speed of 112 miles per hour.
Ooh.
Driven by Arnie Torman and Doug Tabbitt.
Wow.
I'm a little bit blown away, but look at so the Cannonball Run began as an unofficial unsanctioned automobile race run 5 times in the 1970s. So here we are. Like it started when we're talking about peak car culture.
Yeah, right. And not just peak car culture, but car culture that was this getting people to take those long road trips, but in a more interesting way than just like lollygagging along, the new highways, right?
Let's make use of these bananas long highways. Let's take them for a spin, so to speak.
Put them to work. Well, and that's what's interesting about this is that then you have this story with Paul Bartel making a film that, as you said, we're kind of entering this. I mean, I think you said post-apocalyptic. I don't think it's really post-apocalyptic, but it certainly is kind of a dystopian future where is it even
there was
dystopian?
There was the fall of the world. Right. They talk about that.
Was it like something in 1979? Right. I can't remember what it was called, but yeah, it was like a collapse of society in 1979 that led to
the global president, right? The American president now holding office in his palace in Peking.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And then they still blame the French for things. So,
blame the French for everything.
So, yeah, kind of a dystopian mess. And they've created this totalitarian regime with martial law. And this is kind of the entertainment, this transcontinental road race where they race across the country in wildly decked out cars that, again, really reminded me of the wacky races because they're all like so absurdly tied into the driver's own persona that they've created. You know, like it's so silly.
I don't understand how Frankenstein's is supposed to be scary.
Yeah, well, or how it ties into Frankenstein. It looks just like, is it like some sort of dragon or like, I don't remember that in the Frankenstein stories. But yeah, and then they're killing people, and that's kind of the whole goal with this game. Be the first, but also you can get more points by actually hitting and killing pedestrians.
And they soften it by saying you're not killing when you're driving in the race. You're not killing people; you're scoring them.
Right.
And
right.
I think that's kind of an important note, right? Like they're creating sort of a linguistic distance between violence, the act of violence, and the result of violence.
Well, and it's also there's some satire on fan culture because you also have people who want to be hit because they are such a fan of a particular driver that they are willing to like go out in front of them. They're like that girl who goes out to get sacrificed by Frankenstein because she is such a hardcore fan. Like that is another level of this that is kind of disturbing, but also kind of satirizing how society is operating in this particular future.
Yeah. And there's an interesting point to that. Like there are a couple of those elements of satire that I think cut both ways. You do have fan culture and the sacrifice. You also have the euthanasia culture, right? When they take all the geriatric patients who are ready to end their lives. And what's interesting about it is they put them in the middle of the road to be run over by the cars. And then the car goes the other way and kills all the nurses.
Well, yeah, I think that was a fun little bit of countering the satire of this future society willing to sacrifice the old by having a euthanasia day where they all put them in the road. But then how Frankenstein is like, nah, I'm going to get back at all the nurses who are part of this. Like, that was an interesting bit of commentary on his own personality as we learn over the course of the film and what his end goal really is, right?
Right. As an assassin, right, to kill the president. Yeah, it's an interesting movie. I mean, it's yet again, it's one of those movies that on the surface looks crazy, but there's more going on in this movie. You could tell, like Bartel and writers Robert Thumb and Charles Griffith, Ib Melchior.
Melchior, yeah.
But they had something to say about this movie as something that, you know, is a representation of, once again, violence in entertainment and totalitarian control and media manipulation. We haven't even talked about that, but that it is, you know, their efforts, again, you mentioned to blame the French, but also to just take things that we saw and say other things happened. And amazing, we're still in the middle of that.
All right, listen up, you bloodthirsty bunch of cinephiles. It's your old pal Andy, and I've got a proposition for you that'll make your engines purr and your movie-loving hearts race. What you just heard was a tantalizing taste of our pedal-to-the-metal dissection of Death Race 2000, but that's all the carnage you're going to get for free. There's a whole world of bonus content waiting at the finish line, and the only way to join this twisted cross-country rally through the world of cinema is by becoming a member. Picture this, a vast, uncharted wasteland of exclusive episodes, stretching out before you like an endless highway of movie madness. As a member, you'll have the keys to this celluloid killing machine, and trust me, it's one wild ride. Every month you'll get a brand spanking new bonus episode, each one a raw, unfiltered journey into the heart of a different film, all chosen by the members. You'll also have ad-free access to our entire library, so you can cruise through our back catalog like a racer racking up points. And if that wasn't enough, we've got pre-show and post-show pit stops that'll make you feel like you're right there in the thick of it with us, swapping stories and reveling in the cinematic chaos. But here's where things get really wild, my fellow movie maniacs. As a member, you'll be calling the shots. You'll get to vote on the films we unleash on this twisted track, ensuring that our bonus episodes are always serving up exactly the kind of entertainment and biting social commentary you crave. You'll have your own personal pit crew of celluloid speed demons ready to stage the perfect bonus episode bloodbath just for you. And if you're itching to trade barbs with some fellow fans of the celluloid circus, our Discord community is the place to be. It's a virtual arena where movie lovers can gather to swap war stories, share insights, and maybe even plan a few film-fueled revolts of their own. Just remember, in this race, the only rule is to expect the unexpected. So why be just another hapless pedestrian when you could be behind the wheel? Slam that pedal down and head over to truestory.fm/join and sign up today. It's just $5 a month or $55 for a whole year. That's a small price to pay for a front row seat to the most twisted journey through cinema history. And that, my fellow fans of vehicular movie mayhem, is where we'll have to leave you in the dust for now. If you want to experience the full uncut account of our high-speed take on Death Race 2000 and countless other films, you know what to do. Join the race, become a member, and let's hit the gas on this journey through the dark heart of bonus content together. Trust me, it's a ride you won't forget. Until then, keep your eyes on the silver screen and your foot on the accelerator. Over and out.